having read those documents, one thing became pretty crystal clear, that there were many people who had serious questions about the transactions and about the velocity of these transactions, and they either get very, very, very deep into concealment, hiding money, shifting money, and for the purpose, we don't know, because one thing everybody in this room and the American people definitely know is that the Biden family doesn't really have a business. There is no business structure around this family except politics. And since Joe Biden has spent decades in the Senate, served 8 years as vice president, and is now president of the United States, and the family's getting money from various countries and foreign businesses through various shell companies and this web of LLCs. I mean, guys, you in the press, this is easy pickings. I'm giving you Pulitzer stuff here. Like, all you have to do is literally look at our memo and see the level of detail upon which they have created this. And it's very, very frustrating. We have now been able to clearly see that the Biden's associates, like Rob Walker, Eric Sherman, has been discussed, created at least 16 companies while Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. 16 companies created while he was vice president. Now the list is 20, and as we continue our investigation, that list is growing. And like I said before, the question is, to serve what purpose? And the purpose of all these companies being created is to conceal money that the Biden family has been gaining because Joe Biden has been sitting at the upper echelon of our politics for almost 5 decades. That is the entire purpose. Here's an example of what I mean. You have Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca Advisors, Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners, RSP Holdings, RSTP2 Alpha, RSTP2 Bravo, Rosemont Seneca Thornton, Rosemont Seneca Bohai. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Bohai, B-O-H-A-I. And the list goes on and on. Cycling through this many companies serves no legitimate purpose. And as somebody who actually worked in banking, I did that long before I came here. Whenever there was like this many companies just laying all over the place, and you see wire transfers, cashier checks over here, going to random members of the family for no apparent purpose, at the size and velocity at which all of this was being conducted, the only logical conclusion of a financial professional is you are concealing money. Let me restate this. You are concealing money from either the IRS or from credit agencies or from other people in general. That's the only reason you set up a structure like this. Some of these companies were connected to Hunter's personal professional company, Oswego, or Skinny Atlas, Scale Atlas, however you want to pronounce it. And the list goes on. And Mr. Biggs, he talked about Hudson West 3 and some of those other issues that were going on as well. One thing I want to make sure is that all of this has happened and Joe Biden is aware. Nobody in this room can logically sit here and say that the President of the United States had no idea that these companies were being formed while he was Vice President of the United States. And I will add you, he was probably in better mental shape then than he is today. You know, I'll throw that out there. And so what this committee is going to continue to do is pursue this investigation. We are going to continue to document, and we're going to provide that information to all of you in the press. So to help you, and frankly, you know, like Congressman May said, and probably help the DOJ along with their investigation. One quick note, it's interesting that the Department of Justice has been investigating Hunter Biden for quite some time, and we seem to just never really get anywhere. And so I think that's also interesting as well. I wonder what's going on at the Department of Justice. But that being said, the bottom line is there is no real business here. None. And let me also say this, because I know there are many in this room who wanted to go down all the various schemes that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle accused the former president of. Be very clear. The former president actually had a business, very big business. You could say it was his name, you could say it was his buildings, you could say it was wine, you could say it was branding, you could say it was The Apprentice, but he had a very big and legitimate business, which everybody in this room clearly knows and understands and can point to and say, that's the thing, that thing over there. Joe Biden has no business except his position in politics. And it is the requirement of this committee to investigate that. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to let the facts speak for themselves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Leslie will represent Jordan.
Suspicious activity reports. The key word in that phrase is the word suspicious. There are 170 of those reports, many of them put together by the Treasury Department of our government in the Obama-Biden administration. So 170 of those that the committee has reviewed, thousands of pages of bank records the committee has reviewed, and that has told us that there are now multiple, as Mr. Donalds just said, multiple LLCs receiving money from foreign entities and paying that money out to multiple members of the Biden family.
Excuse me. Sorry.
What did they do? What was the business? What service did they provide? What value did they add? What did they do to warrant receipt of the money? That is the fundamental question, and no one seems to have an answer to that fundamental question. But Mr. Comer, Chairman Comer, and the team, that's what we're looking into, trying to get. And I would just say this too, why not just come clean? Why not just be honest with us? Why not tell us the truth? But I would tell you this, I think it's a pattern with this administration. They haven't been square with us, straight with the American people about anything. They tell us the border is secure. We know it isn't. They tell us our debt ceiling bill is going to hurt veterans. No, it doesn't. Joe Biden said during the campaign that the letter from 51 former intel officials, when he used it in the debate, he portrayed it as if it was organic. And we now know through another investigation that we're all working on that, in fact, it was coordinated. That letter from 51 former intel officials was coordinated with the Biden campaign. So much so, the Biden campaign told us, well, here's the journalist we want you to have the story to, the letter to first. Why not just be straight with us? Why not come clean? Why not tell us the truth? Tell the American people the truth. They deserve that from their government. Again, the fundamental question is, what did they do to warrant the receipt of millions and millions of dollars? Why did Joe Biden's brother? Why did Joe Biden's sister-in-law? Why did Joe Biden's son? Why did so many family members get the money? What did they do to warrant receipt of that money? That's the fundamental question. Chairman Comer and the team have done great work, and they're determined to get answers to those fundamental questions.
I want to thank the committee. I want to thank the staff for all the time pouring through these documents. Now we would like to entertain questions, and I want to begin with the fourth largest newspaper in the state, who I read somewhere was banned from the White House, but we'll start with the New York Post.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. It's good
You're always welcome here.
Well, thank you. It's good to have an opportunity to ask questions too. I'd like to ask you two questions. First, about the investigative next steps, and secondly, about the FBI informant file that you were seeking. Regarding next steps, you've produced a significant amount of information so far about to the president's family. No doubt there's going to be more to come. But are you going to be able to prove the central thesis that President Biden was directly involved with corruption without getting bank records for either President Biden, James Biden, Hunter Biden, showing the transfer of money or the payments of expenses that President Biden should have picked up himself? And secondly, on the FBI informant file, are you going to be able to provide us any more information today on that, such as which country it pertains to? And is there any evidence that President Biden has offshore bank accounts?
Well, first of all, with respect to President Biden, I don't think anyone in America who's watching C-SPAN or any other network that's covering this would think that it's just a coincidence that 9 Biden family members have received money for this influence peddling scheme. I mean, what as Representative Jordan and the other speakers said, what business is there? The media has always said two things. First of all, many of the media have said that no transactions happened while Joe Biden was vice president. We've proven that wrong. Joe Biden said during 2020 that his family never took any money from China. Today we've proven that wrong, and you have it in your memorandum, the bank transfers. So we believe that the president has been involved in this from the very beginning, obviously. We're going to continue to look. There are, what we've cited today and what we're updating you with today, 4 banks. Those result from 4 banks. We believe there are 12 banks. So right now, you could say that we're in the beginning stages of this investigation, but many of you wrote, I read your stories, many of you wrote, not the New York Post, but many of you wrote that we would never get access to bank records because that's what the White House told you. And they said we'd never have access to the Treasury. because that's what the White House and Jamie Raskin told you. But we have the bank records. We're going to get more bank records. We just got the bank records from going through the associates. We knew there were people that were wiring money, that were accepting the initial payments from our adversaries around the world, and then they were funneling the money to the Bidens through various LLCs. So we got the bank records through the back door. And we can tell you from the people that we're meeting with, that were involved with many of the schemes, that we're pretty confident that the president was very knowledgeable of what his family was doing. You've seen pictures with these people. You've seen meetings. You've seen instances where the president took his son on trips during the last year of his vice presidency. And every account prior to today said, but none of those transactions happened while he was vice president. And we just laid out that 16 of the 17 payments to the Bidens from Romania occurred while Joe Biden was vice president. With the second question with respect to the FBI, this is Senator Grassley's whistleblower. I've reviewed the transcript. We have given the FBI until noon today to provide that document, that very specific document, and we're going to let the ball be in the FBI's court. And then Senator Grassley and I, if the FBI for some reason does not comply with our subpoena, then Senator Grassley and I will discuss the next step. Next question.
Mark Tapscott with the Epoch Times. There's been a number of scandals in our country's history. Teapot Dome comes to mind, the Grant administration. You just said that you're in the beginning stages of this, but I wonder if you, or perhaps one of your colleagues, can put this into an historical context.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we've already provided, despite a few articles saying that this committee, first, I hate to be critical of the media, but I mean, a lot of you honestly deserve it. So, but with respect, they said, well, this began in November. We had a press conference here. And at that time, I think the Associated Press and other outlets were saying that the laptop was Russian disinformation still at that point. They were saying that these were conspiracy theories, and they were saying that none of the money ever happened while Joe Biden was vice president. We've dismissed all of that. We have evidence. That's something, again, I don't think a lot of you are used to with respect to congressional investigation. We have evidence. And you look at the congressional scandals of the past. You look at Watergate and things like that. The congressional committees didn't find out about the Watergate. The press found out about it. And instead of the press asking Joe Biden, when we disclosed a month ago that through the Robinson Walker account, 3 or 4 somebody yelled out your family receiving money from China, and he said that's not true. And nobody pressed him again. So I don't think the media is playing the same role that it used to play with respect to investigative reporting. And it's been very difficult. We're fighting the Biden attorneys, we're fighting the DOJ, we're fighting the FBI, we're fighting a lot of the media, and we're just trying to be transparent. The White House said today that this was a political stunt. That's what little Ian Sam said. This was a political stunt by Homer. A press conference? A political stunt? We're actually giving you a memorandum with evidence. So we're trying to be transparent. We're leading a credible investigation, as Ms. May said. And I think that from a historical standpoint, we've never seen a presidential family receive these sums of money from adversaries around the world. And we're just talking about a couple of countries today. I mean, if you look at the countries that this family was influence peddling in, China's probably the most reputable country on the list, if that tells you anything. So I think we're making a lot of progress in less than 100 days. One difference between us and the work that the Senate did is we have subpoena power. And we got the bank records. And we're going to get more bank records. And we're going to have more whistleblowers come forward. A few weeks, the last thing I'll say to answer your question, we said, we mentioned whistleblowers a couple weeks ago, and Jamie Raskin said there were no whistleblowers. There were 2 whistleblowers that come forward. One with IRS and one with the DOJ. So,
it sounds like you are still trying to prove President Biden's direct involvement here. And you spoke a little bit, I know, Congressman Donald spoke a little bit about the policy aspect of it. If you could just speak more to the policy aspect of it, because how can you discount maybe Hunter Biden just used his father's name to get this money without any direct involvement from President Biden himself. Can you just speak a little bit to your
And it would be hard for me to believe that Hunter Biden was so charismatic that he could convince foreign nationals to wire millions of dollars into not just his account, but 8 of his family members' account. We believe that there was a return on the investment for the investment that these countries were wiring money to the various Biden family members. And why were they? Why, as Representative Donald said, why would you create all these companies? I don't think a lot of people understand the complexity of these businesses. If you're doing something legitimate, if you're providing something of value, why not just get the payment directly from the payer? Why do you have to run it through 3 or 4 different bank accounts? So that's what there's an odd pattern that's developing here.
Are you referring to the IP policy that Biden took away whenever he took office? What specific policies are you talking
Well,
about?
we know that the vice president during the last year of the Biden administration traveled around the world. He talked a lot about foreign aid in different countries, talked a lot about American policy, American assistance, and these are part of the Times policy. If you look at some of the decisions that Joe Biden made as president, there are many decisions that we would make a strong argument that put China first and America last. So these are the types of decisions. We'll get into more of those later. Yes.
I'm trying to find all the numbers. If that $10 million or more, is that what we're thinking? So far. And of course the White House is playing this off as trying to downplay it. What message would you have for the president and stuff?
If these were legitimate payment, and those are legitimate businesses that your family created, then I would assume you have invoices. I would assume that you would have books and business models and things like that to tell us what the businesses actually were. And I think that's something, instead of just attacking us for having the audacity to investigate this and be as transparent as we could possibly be with the media, then maybe he should answer questions as to what exactly his family did to receive this money and why so many of his family members received it. I don't think that's normal. I don't think the person watching this on C-SPAN who's struggling to work over 40 hours a week, pay their bills, I don't think their family members get wires from adversaries around the world. So I think the American people understand that this stings, and I think they appreciate what we're doing.
Chairman Homer, you said that there's a legislative purpose to what you're doing here, and that you want to ensure that anyone sitting in the highest office of the family doesn't benefit from these kinds of private business dealings. Former President Donald Trump is running for president again. Him and his family have benefited while he was in office, since he was in office, from a number of countries. Are you investigating those business dealings as well?
We're going to look at everything when we get ready to introduce the legislation to ban influence peddling. If you go back to Jimmy Carter's brother, Billy Carter, receiving money from Lydia, this has been a pattern for a long time. Republicans and Democrats have both complained about president's families receiving money. But the way that the Bidens have set this up, that there's no business. President Carter's brother got the money directly from Libya. I've already reviewed that. And Joe Biden, ironically, was on the committee that investigated President Carter's brother when that took place. Former President Trump's son-in-law had some business dealings, right? As Byron Donald said, we know what his businesses were. I'm not saying whether I agreed with what he did or not, but I actually know what his businesses are. What are the Biden businesses? What business? What we read in the press about, well, these were legitimate business deals that were done after Joe Biden was president. That's not true. These were set up when Joe Biden was vice president. And what is the business, Eddie? What business are they in?